So the identity operators are a bit low level here on Python programming. It's just important that we also study them, of course, on a high level. Don't worry about it. You're not going to take too long here. The identity operators are similar to comparison operators, but they check if the objects point to the same local in memory of how Python stores the objects. For instance, if I have a equals 1 and b equals to a, these two variables that I'm doing here, I'm doing 1 is being stored on a, and a is being stored on the variable b. And if I check with this identity operator, which is the is operator, if a is b, this will yield to true. Consequentially, they also have the same value. If I see, for example, print b is 1 and print a is also 1. And if I do a is equal to b, okay, this is comparison operator at the level that we see the object. This is just a question of memory allocation, and you'll see the difference in a minute. This will, of course, also yield to true. So what this means is that a and b are right now pointing to the same spot in memory of how Python is storing our variables. Okay, so when we type a is equal to 1, Python is saying, okay, I'm going to point to this reference in the memory of the computer. And when we type b is also pointing to the same part in the memory. But now let's see an example where this doesn't happen. For example, if I have, or where this is different. Okay, so if I do a is equal to 1 and b is equal to 1.0, these variables are the same, right? I'm going to run this. Let's compare them using the comparison operator. Is a equal to b? It makes sense that it is, right? It makes sense that we see this one as the same. Like if we are comparing two balances in a bank account, doesn't matter if you have $17 or $17.0, they are exactly the same. They will buy you the same stuff. And when we do coding and we want to do examples like that, we want these numbers to match, to be equal. And they are equal. The a equals to b yields true. But now is b will yield to false, because 1 and 1.0, although equal, point to different spots in the memory of the computer. This is a bit low level, but it's important that you also know these identity operators. They may appear in your Python journey sometimes for specific operations, particularly for more advanced stuff. But it's cool that you are aware that these exist, and that's why I'm giving here a short lecture on them, because probably if you deal with them in the future, you'll know, oh, okay, this is the main difference between the comparison and the identity. The comparison is on a high level between what the objects represent, and the identity is on the logical level on how they are stored in the computer. Now we also have the is not, which is interesting. A is not B will yield to true. It's basically how we have equality and inequality. We also have is and not is. And not is basically checks if they point to different parts in the memory. Now, for example, A is not A, that's also true. The comparison between A in capital letter and A in lowercase, A in uppercase letter and A in lowercase letter was also different when we compare them. In identity, they are also different. Okay, so this was just brief introduction to these identity operators. Let's not waste more time on them. Just be aware that they exist, because they may show up in some scripts that you see on the internet or when you are doing some more advanced coding. Okay, cool. So we've covered a lot of ground in this section, and we've went through a lot of important concepts here in this section of the course. So right now what we'll do is exercises and quizzes, because that's of course the most important part. I really advise you to do that, because it will be virtually impossible that you can become a Python proficient coder just by looking at code and not coding. So it's really important that you practice and that you deal with bugs and issues when you are trying to code. Don't get frustrated, because it's super common that you'll deal with these issues when you are trying to code by yourself, but that's the most efficient way to learn. And I hope that you enjoy the exercises that we have here on this section. Okay, so that's it. Let's go for the exercises. In the next lecture, we'll go a bit deeper into strings and learning how we can do more advanced stuff with one of the basic objects here in Python. We are compounding our knowledge until we can build our own programs and our own functions. That's something that we will do more near the end of the course, and where we'll get our hands on in building some concrete programming here in Python. We'll get there, but first we need to compound on all these basic knowledge to become a Python proficient programmer. So I hope you enjoy the exercises. I'll see you in the next section of the course.